say that our business is stronger than it has ever been.
The success of growth and where I see companies growing consistently really is your people.
I mean, the story is not, does it make power? Because they all make power. The story is, what does it power?
This is What Solar Installers Need to Know with your host, Hervé Billier and Joe Marhamati.
Hi there, it's Hervé and Joe with What Solar Installers Need to Know, where we interview solar CEOs and experts on how they run their business on the solar coaster. We ask their private revenue numbers, we give actionable advice, and learn about trade secrets so you can run and grow your solar business. Joe and I built a solar company from 0 to 12 million in sales and got successfully acquired. If you'd like to do the same or do better, go to sungrow.com/blog to get actionable behind-the-scenes lessons on running and growing your solar business. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the next episode. Welcome to What Solar Installers Need to Know, where we learn from other solar installers and experts about what works and what doesn't. We help you run your solar business, innovate, and discuss the future of solar. Welcome, Vincent.
Thank you very much. I am honored. You all have, in a short period of time, maybe about a year, you have become a really trusted partner, and we appreciate all the talent you have on the back end. That you are working so seamlessly with my team here to deliver that one app product. And so I know you didn't ask me to do this for you, but I'm doing it anyway. I don't want to embarrass you. But if there are those of you who are obviously listening, you're also fans of Sunvoy. I don't know if you all, I've been 19 years in the business. I don't know if you all recognize just how powerful a tool Sunvoy is. So kudos to you, and thank you very, very much for having me today.
Thanks, Vincent.
You're welcome. We're done.
Yeah, all right. Next episode. So, Vincent, you have a wealth of experience and knowledge. You're the CEO of Renova Energy based out of California. A few numbers for our audience. Last year's revenue was $75 million. You have 181 employees currently, and we'll speak about that with what happened with SunPower. But at that point, you were more like 260 people. You currently do 45 installs a month. At your peak, you were doing 250 installs a month. That's means right. You have around 12,000 people in your solar fleet.
Yep.
And
you get them all. And you have access to all of them. You're the one who's showing us each and every address and what their name is and how their systems are performing. So let's also give you credit for following all 12,000 of those people. So
thank you. Yes. Thank you. Well, it's really kind of creating that long-term customer journey, and solar installers, what we don't always realize, like once you do a sale, that's the hard part, but that's your customer for 20 years. So it's kind of really bringing that long-term relationship to the customer. That's how you try to do it.
If it wasn't for your application, all of the ongoing maintenance and the upsell into batteries, because of those 12,000, only 11,000 they're PV only. Sunvoy opened up to me 11,000 new opportunities to do the right thing and add batteries so we have closed loop microgrid systems. You did that. Your app does that. I would be hard-pressed to find anyone else who would have been able to help Renova open up that entirely new revenue stream. So that's more advertising for you. So anyone who doesn't realize what Sunvoy can really do for you, that monitoring leads to additional revenue through adder sales. I don't call them upsell. I call them an adder sale, because an upsell sounds cheesy, but an adder to service and to add batteries and smart panels when those start to become, easier to install. So that's all you. You're the one who's helping.
Well, I enable you. I give you a software, but it's your brand. It's Renova everywhere.
That's true. You took it and packaged, because we had our Renova app that was available through iOS and through Android. And you took that app where we were getting customers fed to us for referrals and such. You adapted that entire app and gave us the same capabilities, but you packaged it with that fleet view, with the service and the outreach in mind, which was stellar. And again, you need to be applauded for that. So anyone using your app and in a relationship with you, I mean, if you feel like you haven't even scratched the surface on the relationship, you probably haven't. And you should probably call and get additional training, because it truly is a multitasking application.
It's multitasking, and it gets more complex, but basically I try to solve all the problems that I had when I was running my solar company. So it's part marketing, sales, but also operations. You can automatic commission systems in Enphase. Like, you don't have to go there and retype the address. Like, I create those buttons that I wish I had when I was there. I was tired of just doing the same thing all the time. So just automate everything.
Yeah, and it's working.
I want to finish the introduction where you as a company,
Yes.
you have vertically integrated EPC. You do everything except manufacturing and your own financial products, right? But everything else is done in-house, right?
All in-house, everything from the sales, the marketing, to the sales, to the follow-up, the installation, the roofing on the installation. Then after completion, all of the administrative side, the customer service side, and then of course the service side. So we have our own Renova as a triangle, is Renova Energy Corporation, where we'll do those tasks that I was saying all integrated. And then we've got an offshoot in Renova Plus, which is our service and maintenance division, which we've had around since 2008. And then that third division is Renova Roofs. And that is a roofing division that will do all the roofing underneath all of our solar systems, as well as removal and replacement for customers who aren't Renova customers, but who have solar on their roof and need to get roof work done. Because roofing companies are not capable of removing the solar, doing the roof work, replacing the solar so that it works even better after the fact. So that's why Renova Roofs is busy with not only preparing the new microgrids that Renova sells, but also servicing customers who have other people's solar on the roof.
Maybe the roofing company can remove the panels, but
Yes.
they come up with your back.
They screw it up between us every single time. So, they're good people, but here's what I do in exchange. Yes, I make fun of roofers, but in exchange for taking all of the work where there's a solar system on the roof, Renova Roofs will only work on roofs where there's solar. So all other roofs that don't have solar on it, I leave those to the roofing companies. God bless them. They're the hardest working contractors out there. So we'll just let them do that task, and you just stay in your lane. If it has electronics on the roof, Renova Roofs will take care of it from soup to soup.
All right. Well, you mentioned lanes. Talking about your lane, as the CEO, what part of being a CEO do you like the most?
I like the people side. As you can tell, I am probably not the person you're going to come to for the technical end of it, or the marketing side of it, or the admin. I love people. I love the fact that we have an industry where the more, the merrier. We need a larger army. I was so happy when we reached a peak in the United States of about 290,000 full-time solar employees. That was wonderful. And it always hurts me when I see, the utilities winning. And the way we measure their win is when we see a reduction in full-time solar work. I am continuing to push so that we bring more people into the industry. And so I've begun an initiative with the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, the IBEW, to bring organized labor onto rooftops. I don't think we as an industry need to be afraid of that anymore. The IBEW wants to be on rooftops. They're tired of being saddled up with the utilities, so they only have temporary work out in those horrible fields with those ridiculous stranded assets, because there's no transmission to get that BS utility, production, utility scale electrons to city centers. So the IBEW, for 5 years, we've been doing a dance, and to get them to understand we have margins on rooftop. All of you who are watching, we're very sensitive to our margins. We are a nascent industry, but they've become much more amenable to aligning their cost per hour on their talent. They have the greatest talent out there in electrical. So we need to move them in. So when I say I love people, it's not just training someone off the street to come into our industry and make an impact, really by doing good for the world and doing well, because we pay so very well. But it's also bringing in new partners, people who maybe didn't feel they could be a part of our industry. And we, as a maturing industry, need to start to standardize the way we do our installations from Tallahassee up to through Texas into Northern Cal. The only way to do that is with professionally trained electricians. And where do you find those? You find them in the IBEW. So yeah, that's what I like. I like bringing together people so that we can really grow this industry, because we're going to need more bodies. The utilities are under some heavy financial strain. And when they do end up reorganizing and going into bankruptcies and to do those reorganizations, people are going to be looking to us to build the microgrid so that they can have confidence in their electricity at home. And that's why our hockey stick is, it may slow down a little bit, but it's still continuing to climb. And so we're going to need more bodies. And that's what I am. I'm more of a recruiter than really a business owner. I know it's a long answer to your simple question, but that's how I see myself as a CEO, as being that recruiter.
Yeah, you're such a people person. I remember at the last conference we were together, you were at our booth and I showed you a new feature. You know what you immediately did? You went to go grab some other people around. You're like, oh, come, look. And then you explained it. And I felt like you just became a salesperson of Sunvoice, selling it to your people. Because like you were so like, you want to share the knowledge and get people excited about it. It's amazing.
If you're going to be in this industry, they call it solar coaster and whatever, you have to be almost a religious zealot. This has to be your purpose. And so that passion needs to bleed, and it needs to affect people positively. And so we don't want people to be afraid of this industry. If they're going to adapt it, let's let them know that it's that they can make money in it and they can make a living in it, but that it's a true purpose, and people are looking for purpose. That's what human beings are constantly in search for, a religion. And I hate to call it a religion because it's not. Maybe people will be offended by that. Essentially, when you are in the solar industry, you're a part nerd, part evangelist. When you're standing in line at Starbucks and you have a Renova shirt on or a solar shirt on, people are going to ask you questions. So you do need to bone up and do your homework. And when you get into this industry, you find that it's addictive. And so, yeah, I don't want people to be afraid of it. I want people to know that they can actually get into it. They haven't missed the wave, that they can come in at any time and be a part of the struggle with us, because ultimately we are on the right side of right, environmentally, financially, regardless of being whatever party you may be in. Humans are humans, and we fall on the right side of everyone's thinking, except for the utilities. They're the only ones who don't believe in us, and for good reason. I mean, we're here to replace them. And so, I think
I've met some really smart utilities too, and they see the value. Is like, wait, it's built faster, it costs less and less to maintain. So I can, for the same price of electricity, my cost of capital, my asset is worth a lot less. So
yeah. But it also drives their fear. That's what keeps them awake at night too, because if they don't have projects to build, then they don't get a return on that investment. Because in California, for example, the CPUC kindly set up every utility so that they make a 10% fixed return on all the construction. So they're all about construction projects, and we are taking those construction projects away from them because homeowners are investing in the infrastructure on their rooftops. So you and I were kind of talking about that before. I think 6 months from now, you and I could do another talk, and there'd be 3 other assembly bills that I'm trying to kill, because it's a constant battle with that utility. We are their primary competitor. And so I don't regret taking an aggressive stance against utility and their motives. People know that utilities, they act like quasi-governmental organizations, or they act like governmental organizations, even though they're investor owned, they're private. And so people aren't stupid. The utilities are playing the ratepayers, thinking that they're dumb and they won't get the facts when they come out to say, oh yeah, solar is, it's bad. There's a cost shift and poor people can't have it and all. Ratepayers are very smart. They know that when the utility speaks, it's likely they're speaking to gain some personal advantage. But that's not what solar is all about. When you're building a microgrid, you like I say, you want to bring more people in, make it more accommodating to the public at large, and the more people we bring in and the more people who understand what we're doing is not like rocket science, it's really replacement technology that is here today. The more people you bring in, you'll see that the momentum is on. I
have one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
In running a business, I think you said you started in 2006.
Yes.
You may have made a few mistakes.
No.
Wild assumption.
No.
So let's speak about...
I won't answer this question.
Can you speak about one of the mistakes that you've made that you're never going to make again?
I applied my personal characteristic, one I believe in, of loyalty. I applied it to the business. And so I became a SunPower dealer and exclusively sold SunPower with blinders on and not embracing other financing, other technology, other ways of doing business. And so I put all my eggs in one basket. And I had hell to pay because of that mistake, because last year in July, they dissolved, and I was one of 5 invested entities. SunPower purchased 10% of Renova's shares, and in order to maintain an exclusive on all of Renova's activities. And that was a mistake, because when they went down, man, I was attached to the hip. All our processes, our finances, everything was going through SunPower. And then they went away and they took a little over $4 million that they owe. They took it away from me, and I'll never see that. And it essentially required Renova to stop. So we halted and paused for 3 weeks in the month of August of 2024. And I rebuilt the company from scratch. Having 5 of my executives, we rebuilt from, we actually 360 employees, not 260. So we were ramping up to 400, both here and in our Arizona offices, our Tucson and our Phoenix offices. And so we were growing, but we had those eggs in one basket. And I thought, oh my God, Total, the 9th largest energy company, or the 9th largest corporation in the world. I think it's somewhere like the 3rd largest energy company. They'll never let SunPower go bankrupt. And nope, they did. They opted for it. So I thought it was a safe bet to keep all those eggs in the basket. And I was wrong. I got an omelet of broken eggs instead. And so I made a good breakfast of it, fed the Renovians, and we rebuilt ourselves back up to 181 people. But we had built at such a cadence where our cost stack, our capital expenditures were there to operate a company at that $75 million run rate. And imagine, like this year, I may do about 30 million. So imagine we had all that cost and I had to reduce. I'm over it now, but for the first 6 months, every day for me was a struggle, because I'm like, yeah, but I made that capital expense because I was planning on this growth, or I was going to, get this equipment so that we could do more cleanings, or we could service insurance companies. And all of that had to be replanned, reset. All the buildings we had a fleet of over 180 vehicles, of Mercedes vehicles, for example. And God bless Mercedes. They took back over 100 of those vehicles, those leases, because those are workhorse vehicles. That was one of the best moves I ever made, was by being all in on those large Mercedes Sprinters and their Metris brand. And we were able to turn back over 100 of those and not suffer. And they took them back without us having to pay, because they were able to then turn around and release those at a higher lease rate, by the way. So for them, there was an advantage. It was all about timing. I'm not saying it was all, that I was that smart, but we had to reduce fleet, so, and then regrow personnel, new leadership. Every division now has people who are really like at a 3rd tier level. All leadership, they've been moved up to 1st tier. And so I do love people. So I'm excited about training and coaching so that that those new leaders can expand their horizons and their influence on others. And so that's fun. Now, essentially then, when you have new leadership, you have new thinking. When you have new thinking, you get new processes. And then you add in it like artificial intelligence, which you all, are starting more and more to recognize how that, especially with handling the fleet. So we've been adding artificial intelligence. So truly, the 181 people are doing the work of about 200 to maybe 210 people. So it's fun in this reset. And so for anyone out there who maybe is crying that, oh yeah, SunPower went away, in my opinion right now, SunPower was really just the beginning of a reset in our industry. God bless, John Berger over there. He tried something. It didn't work out. But when that falls apart, that's going to hurt the industry. And God bless Sunrun. I hope they're able to keep their heads above water. But if they're not, all it means is that their processes were so 2024. They just really need a reset. And so I don't lament going through that dissolution with SunPower being so exposed. I don't lament it at all, because the recast of this Renova makes me so 2025 and beyond, because of the inclusion of, that's why we dove into Sunboy and said, can we do more with one app, and less people? And that's what you help people do. That's what the technology of today does. So I'm glad that I shed 18 years. Now, I can say that right now. I'd say 3 months ago, I wouldn't have said that, but I can say it now because I'm just very proud of this new recast of Renova. Our customers stuck with us. We've made new relationships. So now I'm coming back around to where the answer should have been short, but the one mistake I made was all eggs, one basket. Now we're not that way. Now we offer a slew of TPO leases, and financing. And we offer various modules. I stick with three of my favorite, which are my Maxion friends, God bless them. We have Meyer Burger, and then our friends at QCell. Our battery offerings are now not just Tesla. We were the #1 Tesla sales organization in Riverside and Imperial counties, but now we have our friends at Franklin, and we have a company called EcoFlow as well. So that's what it means me to take that loyalty and expand it. I was just making the company vulnerable, and therefore I was making all my Renovians vulnerable. So I have to look at it like that. My loyalty is to my people and to my customers, and my people are my customers, my first line customers. So you have to remain loyal to them. And then you can talk about, who on the outside, what manufacturers, what suppliers. On the supply side, really cool things going on there in this restart of the industry, which began 2 quarters ago and is rolling through it right now. Like I say, with Sonova and Sunrun, and there'll be some other failures, but they'll rebuild. Today, there was an announcement that SunPower is back. They were Complete Solar, and Complete Solar purchased certain assets, and they purchased the SunPower name. And so today they just, Complete Solar had its first quarter online analyst forum, and they made the big announcement that they are converting back to they're taking the SunPower name back to market. So reinvention is constantly happening, and it's all for the good. I really appreciated the CEO there TJ was discussing what the new SunPower would look like. And it's exciting. It's exciting, but we have to go through some pain, and shedding before you can move on to be the next iteration. And so I ask all of the folks out there who are maybe feeling a little pain now, maybe feeling like we're not so popular out in the marketplace, I ask that you hold fast, that you hold tight, because you will truly appreciate the new iteration, your new skin. And that's what we're going through. Change is painful. That's where we're going right now. But I promise everybody as well, almost being in the industry almost 20 years, that the utilities are really on their heels, and that we are going to see financial reorganizations in the larger utilities throughout the United States within the next 18 months. So you better be ready for greater activity. And you better be ready with bringing in people that you trust using AI and SunVoice. And that's really my message on what I regret, but I don't regret it in a negative way. I regret that I didn't see it earlier, that I shouldn't have put all my eggs in one basket.
Normally I ask a question, then you answered, but it seems like my next question was going to be about trends, which you also answered about, like, different companies having a hard time. What your next projects would be, or like you also spoke about, like, you can only have gain if you also have some pain somewhere. Maybe that's not even just specific about solar, the solar business. Maybe that's even philosophical about, like, human beings.
It is. It is. We're an energy that people have used solar energy. That's how we grow. Solar is how the organisms grew, so it's like we're bringing it back into our lives, but we're bringing it back in a controlled way. And it's in harnessing and controlling that sun and the power of that sun, where we have to, as humans, wrap our heads around it. We've gotten away from recognizing why there are planetary patterns and because we're no longer in nature. Now our industry is allowing us to, like I say, harness nature again and be a part of nature, and using technology in order to tap it through modules and to store it in batteries, and then to make our lives better. And that, if it was easy, we would have done it a long time ago.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned solar maybe also being a religion. You could also argue it's a circus, because some of it, like, it's kind of like a magician at work. Like, light hits a plate and electricity comes out. I mean, that is just amazing.
Yeah.
Another piece that's amazing is everything's going on about AI. You mentioned that you already started using some AI in your solar company. Can you help understand others about how you use AI in your solar company?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that restart back in August of last year, we had people calling, of course, because they were panicked. If Renova's if SunPower is gone, that must mean Renova is going. And I just, I'm leasing a solar system, or I bought a solar system. We would get over 300 to 400 phone calls a day. So, but the same 20 questions were being asked. So what we did was, I'm going to give you 2 examples of AI. what we did is we turned our phone system, which is Zoom, into an AI automated response center. So if someone called in, we had our departments in our phone tree, but the first department was for customer service. And what we were able to do is upload the top 20 questions that people were asking. And by using voice AI, folks were able to ask the question and get an answer to their question. It was a little, I wish it was magical and it was seamless. It really wasn't, but it was my first foray into, attempting to use AI in order to facilitate a faster response time, and one that didn't require humans, which I was limited in human capital, right, when we started. And when you're on the phone with someone, even if it's 5 minutes per call, well, that human capital, I would have needed a whole call center, and so we leveraged AI to help answer those questions. And there were only 20 of them, like I said, so we could easily upload the answers to them and people could get their answer quickly. The other way that we used it was people call in on the service side through Renova Plus asking for forensics on their solar system. Hey, is my system working? I just got a bill. My bill keeps going up, and everyone out there is, I'm sure, smiling and laughing because you're hearing the same thing, right? A real fun part is through standard AI, we use Gemini for this. We can upload the customer's bill and ask AI to do an analysis, and it spits back out if the system is performing to the way that we designed it. And then it will spit it back out in writing, and within about 8 seconds. And then on the phone with their customer, we can respond to them, and then we can send them the results in an email. All of that using artificial intelligence, because it can search the web, it can figure out just by using the facts that we upload to it. Again, a PDF of the customer's use, and then a PDF of our original proposal. Is this system working to the level we promised? And it's amazing because we're very proud of the fact that we have yet to have one customer system come back and say, no, it's not performing to the way that we designed it. So, but instead of sitting on the phone for 20 to 25 minutes going through the bill, that's how you can leverage artificial intelligence. So those are two.
I hope others use this as another two examples about how to improve the solar company. And got a little piece about Sunvo. We're working on enabling a lot of those additional features, and you can already see the estimate compared to the actuals just one click away. So that's
where do you see it? Where do you want us, like on the AI side? Is there a component of Sunvoy that you think you'll move entirely over to AI so that those of us who are using your product will recognize that we're getting an AI interaction with your product? Is there anything like that? Or
the honest answer is not yet. We are in the middle of checking out a lot of different options that we can do with AI and just really kind of seeing which one makes the most sense right now. Cool. So we're just making a long list of everything we could be doing and looking at what makes the most sense, because you could easily create some AI features that are just nice to have, but don't really move the needle. So we need to really weed them out. And every time you have one of those ideas, like, this is going to be great. Yeah. But then you need to sleep on it and then think about it and then realize that's actually not going to move the needle. So that's really what we're doing right now.
You're not the only one struggling with that. We just had our Salesforce people here. We had a couple of very high-level execs at Salesforce at Renova, and they're struggling with that as well. They went to Wall Street and said, Salesforce is going to be the number one user on all the, as far as ERP platform providers. We're going to be the number one in AI. And then they kind of turned around. They're like, okay, we shouldn't have said that because Wall Street's expecting this, this growth in customers, and they don't really have the AI. I sat here with them and said, okay, show us then. What have you got? And it wasn't that impressive. It didn't move the needle, as you said.
Yeah, we receive, for example, one thing we keep receiving is can you analyze why my system is producing less than expected? And we keep hearing that also. Not to be mean, but a lot of times people that are not in the solar industry, they are the first one to tell us to use AI to analyze a piece like that. And to me, it's the last part, because I still have to find a solar installer that takes care of all their maintenance. Everything's done. The people are in the morning in the truck just waiting on a call. I have nothing to do. All our systems are working perfectly. it is not analyzing why a system is like underproducing by 0.5%. That's not what the problem is. The problem is like those systems with solar edge with two strings that have never been connected. They are completely, the entire road is down. That's where the real value is, like making sure the big stuff gets done. The AI stuff, optimizing a 0.5 to 0.6% or the other way around, that's not where the value is.
Great.
So we are still making, before we are building a ton in AI, we're still really analyzing where is the most value. And frankly, I haven't thought it yet. A lot of ideas.
Yeah, and I promise you will. I know your mind, and because I know, I say there are so many places that you could inject AI, but does it really make the experience better for the integrator like me? Does it translate into reducing, interaction or time of interaction with customers, because time is money? So, your app already does so much. I'm excited to see how you take certain aspects of your app and say, okay, this is where an AI interjection will reduce customer interaction time for your customers, your Sunboy customers, the integrators like me, and then we will gobble that up. So I am excited to see how AI...
It also needs to be reliable, right? For example, we give a dashboard back to you as you run your business. There's a dashboard across the entire fleet, how everything is going. That dashboard needs to be reliable. Can you imagine I add some AI piece and it analyzes stuff, but then then you come to me like, what about this? What about that? Like whatever I build as a tool needs to be reliable so that you can make business decisions based on it. Not like, oh, AI were hallucinated and now you made a wrong business decision, or you buy $500,000 worth of hardware because you saw something in my dashboard that made you make the wrong decision. So at that point, I'm sure you're going to give me a call. So I want to make sure that whatever we build is reliable, replicable, and is useful for a lot of solar companies.
Well, Favor, my hand is up. Renova will beta anything that you want. If you want a true, honest field beta, and I'm sure there will be plenty of your customers out there watching today that should, will also feel that way, because, if you are a customer of Sunboy's, then you realize how powerful that tool is, and we do want to make it better. And you've been a very good partner. So again, it would be, our pleasure to roll out and be very critical. We won't be nice if it's
of
bad,
course,
but we will be very, happy if it is good. And all boats need to rise. Integrators need to stick with each other. We don't have competitors in this industry. The only competitor we have are the utilities, period.
All right. Well, on those wise words, Vincent, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. It's a pleasure working with you and with your entire team. So thank you very much.
You, and I look forward to seeing you at the next conference. We'll go out and have that beer. It was good seeing you. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. If you'd like to do the same or do better, go to sunvoy.com/blog and get actionable behind-the-scenes lessons on running and growing your solar business.